Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second. Were you waving me off?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. My mouse wouldn't work and I couldn't click on accept recording. I'm sorry.
Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, I'll edit this out.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to our second edition of the Geezerology Gazette. Bob, up Kansas City area. I'm Scott here in South Florida. Dan, unfortunately, couldn't be with us today. He had something come up, but he'll be back with us next week. So Bob and I are going to take the news for a spin this week, and we'll see what happens. Bob, what do you have in store for us this week?
All right. Well, starting out, kind of sad news, as we all, I'm sure, know. ZZ Top bassist Dusty Hill passed away earlier this week at age 72. And the band has announced that they're going to carry on in his absence. And Dusty, the guitarist Billy Gibbons, put out a text message saying that the band is going to be carrying on. And quoting that text message, as Dusty said upon his departure, let the show go on. And with respect, we'll do well to get beyond this and honor his wishes. Dusty emphatically grabbed my arm and said, give Elwood the bottom end and take it to the top. He meant it in Mego, he really did. And the Elwood is a reference to Elwood Francis. And he's been a long time tech with the band, and actually had done a concert with the group prior to Dusty Hill's passing. And the group canceled a gig that they had on July 28th, but the rest of their tour dates remain intact, and they're going to continue on. And their current tour runs through December, and then they're going to kick off a Canada tour next year.
Did you tell me that did they cancel some shows?
They canceled one show.
That
was set for July 28th, but they're going to continue on with the rest of the tour.
Got it. Okay.
And like I said, Elwood Francis had actually started playing before Dusty Hill's passing, so it might have been something that they were anticipating.
So okay, so they're going to continue as a trio.
Yes, as a trio.
Because ZZ Top wouldn't be ZZ Top if it was anything but a trio, right? I was just looking there. They haven't released an album since 2012. I wonder, do they have any plans to go back in the studio at any point?
Not that I've heard of.
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah. Okay. R.I.P. Dusty. You brought a lot of enjoyment to our lives.
Yeah, he had a very long run. I was a big ZZ Top fan back in their early days, not quite so much their latter period, but I'm kind of a blues rock guy, and they did some great stuff early on. All right, moving on. Genesis is coming back out on tour, and they're releasing a new collection called The Last Domino, and it's going to be a 4 LP set or a 2 CD set that's going to be released September 17th. It features 27 tracks, and The Last Domino is also the title of their reunion tour. And the tour is going to feature a majority of material back from that classic 5-piece Peter Gabriel era, going all the way back to 1973's Selling England by the Pound. They're going to do material from The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway and 1976's Wind and Wuthering. And they're also going to do some material from the Tony Banks, Phil Collins, Mike Rutherford trio lineup. And those are the 3 that are doing the current tour. And it says the 4 LP set is housed in a hardback gatefold book style package. It's going to include rare and unseen images of the band from their archive, and also images from the rehearsal, for the upcoming tour. They're going to be in the UK September and October, and then North American dates are going to follow that.
Yeah, I was looking at this a couple of days ago, this compilation. Yeah, they're we've known for a while that this tour was coming up. The news of this compilation is new. Yeah, I have it right here, and I have a track listing for this compilation, and there's nothing new on here. This is all repackaged material. The only thing new on this is there are going to be new photos, you know, in the booklet.
Right.
You know, I can't get excited about this. I was a huge Genesis fan back in the day. Not so much their latter day period. In fact, most of this compilation is stuff from the trio, from the Duke album on forward. There's some stuff from the quartet, from the 5-piece. Most of it's from the trio. I'm not excited about this at all. It just, the only thing is here, there's a lot of this material. It's going to be the first time a lot of this material is issued on vinyl. I don't know. Whatever, you know, it's well, I guess there's a market for this stuff. I'm not interested in their tour. I'm not interested in this compilation. There's nothing new here. It's just a nostalgia thing, you know, and it's, to me, it's just a money grab.
Well, I after I read the notice about this coming out, I went out and did some research because I was curious to see if maybe they had re-recorded or remixed or remastered. And I couldn't find any information about remastering. And usually when they do these kind of things, they'll put in some unreleased material, you know, as a teaser to get you to come out and buy it. And I didn't find any of that either. So I'm kind of like you. I was just like, why? You know, and at this late stage in the game, you're either a Genesis fan or you're not. And
yeah.
If you're a serious fan, you know, you already have all this material. And I'm not a huge Genesis person. You probably know this better than me. You know, I don't know if this is a good overview or respective of, you know, their music, or, you know, whether it's a good place to go for somebody who doesn't really know Genesis. But I was really surprised that I didn't see anything other than the photos and stuff to be a lure for somebody to buy it.
I think the new, never before seen photos is the only new thing here, from what I can tell. Being reissued by Rhino, it's like, and I would be okay with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it. But there are already 3 or 4 Genesis box sets out there, and you know, this offers nothing new than what's already there, except whatever.
Anyway, if you're thinking about looking into Genesis, this is a thumbs down from our Genesis expert here.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Avoid if you own nothing. If you go see Genesis on their reunion tour and you're excited and you don't really own any Genesis material, this might be the place to catch up. But there's nothing here for anybody who has been any kind of a fan of theirs before.
So, all right. So, big music is coming back to the Big Apple. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio has finally announced a full lineup for the city's upcoming homecoming concert. And they're going to have a range of artists from classic rock mainstays to contemporary rap stars. Bruce Springsteen will be there, Elvis Costello, Patti Smith, Paul Simon, Lucky Day, the New York Philharmonic, Polo G, Carlos Santana, Rob Thomas, and a whole bunch more. The concert's going to be held in Central Park on August 21st. A proof of vaccination will be required to enter, but at this point in time, masks will be optional. Somewhere around 80% of the tickets will be made available for free. And concerts being billed as part of New York City's Homecoming Week. And they're promoting movie screenings, concerts, restaurants, and more to help some of the businesses that were hit hard by the pandemic closures. But by August 21st, who knows where we're going to be back out with the pandemic. But if you can't make it to New York, or you don't want to be in the midst of whatever that huge crowd's going to be, the show's going to be broadcast live on CNN. So you can follow along with it on TV.
On CNN, interesting.
CNN, yes.
By the way, that reminded me, I wasn't planning on talking about this today, but it's reminded, did you see that Hulu right now this weekend is carrying Lollapalooza live.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah. I just noticed that the other day. I didn't see any news items that it was coming up or anything, but I just saw all of a sudden I saw the link on Hulu. They put it right there on the front page when you open Hulu, and I went and checked it out. And yeah, it's actually the Lollapalooza concert. You watch it live on Hulu.
Wow, cool.
But anyway, but that sounds like a pretty good deal. It's basically to goose the economy a little bit.
Mhm.
Good. That's a good thing that
they've had there are some precedents for this. Remember, Simon and Garfunkel did their big Central Park concert, and I think that was free. And they've had quite a few events in Central Park. So if I was in New York City, I'd be tempted to go. But
yeah, well, I'll definitely check out at least part of it on CNN, on live on CNN. That's interesting. The CNN is going to be the.
I'll make sure to check out when Bruce Springsteen is going to be on.
I'll look at the live. Hell, I'll watch Springsteen.
Okay, so my final item is not necessarily news as much as it is trivia, but I found it something really interesting. And so, Scott, I want you to think about all of the artists that you may be aware of who have covered Bob Dylan. Okay.
Okay. There are a couple.
There are a couple. So who do you think would be the artist that Bob Dylan would say did the best job ever of covering his material?
Well, I could tell you who I think. Joe Cocker did a pretty good job of covering Bob Dylan material. Who would Bob Dylan think did the best job of covering his material? I don't know. Let's take a guess and say Sinead O'Connor. I don't know.
Well, you would be wrong.
I would expect to be wrong.
When I saw the headline on this article, the first person I thought of was Jimi Hendrix with All Along the Watchtower.
There you go.
Because I had read
And Like a Rolling Stone.
Yeah, where Dylan was very complimentary of that, but I was wrong also. Okay, and I think I know the answer surprised me, and I'm assuming it's probably going to surprise you. But anyway, in his memoir, Chronicles 1, Dylan singled out the artist he believed did the best job of covering his material. And that is high praise indeed, because I went on Wikipedia and they have a thing on there where they list almost 630 individuals and groups who have covered Dylan material.
I would imagine, yeah.
Yes. Some of them very well known, some obscure. And I'm assuming there's probably more out there than that. And yes, your intrepid reporter sat there and counted each person because they didn't give a total on that article. So yes, I counted them. So the artist that Bob Dylan picked is, are you ready for this? Johnny Rivers.
Johnny Rivers?
Mr. Secret Agent Man. Yes, Johnny Rivers. Yes.
Really? Not Manfred Mann?
Not Manfred
Mann and Mighty Quinn, not Johnny Rivers. No. What did Johnny Rivers famously cover of a Dylan song?
Okay, Rivers covered Positively 4th Street.
Okay.
And he did it on an album called, and he came out with an album in 1968 called Realization. And on the album, Rivers covered some edgier material that you would normally think of him doing. He did Hey Joe and some others, and he had Positively 4th Street on there. And this is what Dylan wrote in his memoir. Of all the versions of my recorded songs, the Johnny Rivers was one of my favorites. It was obvious that we were from the same side of town, had been read the same citations, came from the same musical family, and were cut from the same cloth. Dylan added, most of the cover versions of my songs seemed to take them out into left field somewhere, but Rivers' version had the mandate down, the attitude, the melodic sense to complete and surpass even the feeling that I had put into it. So, and I was really surprised that was the person that.
But Dylan was talking specifically about that song, or just Johnny Rivers.
As far as I know, that is the only Dylan song. As far as I know, that's the only Dylan song Rivers ever covered, and but that's the one that Dylan singled out.
Let me see. Let me see if I can find that on Spotify. If I can, I'll drop that. I'll drop a link to that in the comment section below the video. Positively 4th Street.
Yes.
Okay. Did he talk about anybody else who did covers of Dylan songs?
That I know. I haven't read. I haven't read Dylan's memoir. This was just an individual article that I came across.
Yeah. Johnny Rivers' cover of Positively 4th Street is on Spotify, so I'll drop a link to that. I'll drop a link to that in the comment section. Yeah. Shut up, phone.
Yeah. Now, there's a couple other interesting little tidbits about this song that I did not know. And, Positively 4th Street is lauded by many people as one of Dylan's better tunes. But it actually wound up as a B-side release by accident. And it was intended to be the A-side release, but because of a printing error, it wound up being the B-side release to a song called "Can You Please Crawl Out Your Window."
Really?
So, yes.
What album was that on? Was it a Perform, or was it a 9-album single?
Pardon me? No, it was on an album, and but it was released as a single off of the album. The song came out of what they call Dylan's Electric Judas phase. And he released 3 albums that were mainly electric, and that was Bring It All Back Home, Highway 61 Revisited, and Blonde on Blonde. Yeah. And this was when he went from being folky Bob to rock Bob. Right. So those 3 albums got nicknamed the Electric Judas albums. And so it came out of that period of Dylan, and he released it in 1965, and then Johnny Rivers covered it in 68.
Okay.
Well, like I say, I was really surprised.
I would have taken 100 guesses, and I would have never gotten to Johnny Rivers.
Yeah. And I've heard this album, and it's not bad, but it was Rivers trying to be a little more relevant in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because this is the guy that did Secret Agent Man and, a lot of those kind of
things. Right. And I think a lot of those guys were doing it at that time because I remember when I was a kid where Bobby Darin did that. Yeah. Where I remember Bobby Darin, who was, Mac the Knife, and, he was, sort of the Vegas type rock star, sort of that bridge between rock and roll and the Rat Pack,
Yeah.
And I remember one night, I was turning on the Tonight Show or Ed Sullivan Show or something with the family gathered around, and Bobby Darin was going to be on, and Bobby Darin came out there. He let his hair grow long, and his hair was long and hanging down. He came out with a microphone and basically was doing his version of Dylan, and that was shocking. People were shocked. What is this guy doing? And he got a lot of pushback for that for a while, and a lot of critical pushback. And it wasn't very long before he came back with his pompadoured hair. Came back as the old Bobby Darin again after about 6 months of trying that. He may have done an album. But apparently he wasn't the only one. Johnny Rivers did that, and I guess there were probably others did too.
Yeah. I remember the album cover for Realization had kind of a psychedelic look to it, and had a psychedelic character type thing of Rivers on the front of it. And like I say, it was his attempt to be kind of relevant. And then Rivers went on, I guess, to become a born again Christian and started putting Christian material on his albums.
Well, Bob Dylan did too.
That's right. Yeah. Only I think Rivers stuck with it and Dylan didn't.
Right.
But anyway, like I say, it's not necessarily news, but I just thought it was a really interesting thing. And when I read the article, I was just like, Johnny Rivers, really?
Yeah, that's funny. I'm glad you told me that.
Because I was thinking about the Byrds And
Right.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, Joe Cocker came to mind. If I would have thought for a second, if I wasn't on the spot, thought for a second, Jimi Hendrix would have been right
Jimi
there.
Hendrix, and the Birds. I mean, they covered, God, I can't remember how many Dylan things, and they had, their version of Dylan's stuff made their careers,
Yeah.
and yeah, so there were so many people out there, Bruce Springsteen covered him. I think everybody at one point or another has done a Dylan song.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
but for him to pick that one really surprised me.
Garth Brooks in Nashville,
Mhm.
last night or the night before, sold out an 86,000 seat arena for a show I think it was last night. And, there was some controversy because they weren't mandating masks. They weren't mandating vaccines. And, and so Garth Brooks did a press conference before the show last night saying, encouraging people to wear their masks, but he's also telling people, if you're in there in this crowd of 86,000 people in this big stadium, don't look unkindly on your neighbor if he's wearing a mask, or don't look unkindly on your neighbor if he's not wearing a mask. We're all in this together, yada, 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 yada. And so, okay, whatever, that's neither here nor there. So they get in there and the opening acts start the show. A couple of people get on stage to start the show. About 2 songs into the opening act, they had to shut it down and bring everybody in and start evacuating people out of the stadium because a lightning storm came through. So the show was canceled, and they tried to reschedule it for Sunday. They weren't able to, and now they're saying, well, it'll be rescheduled at a later date. But I just thought it was funny. The reason that the headline grabbed me, Garth Brooks, 86,000 ticket show was canceled, because I thought maybe it was a coronavirus thing, but it wasn't. It was, they weren't scared of the coronavirus. They were scared of a little bit of a lightning storm. Yeah. So God told them, get out of here. You don't need to be here.
Well, dovetailing onto that, Kansas City is re-implementing a mask mandate starting Monday, August 2nd.
Uh-huh.
And Brooks is scheduled to perform in Kansas City on the 8th at Arrowhead Stadium. And they have 54,000 some odd tickets sold for that. So there's some talk about how that's going to play out. And
we're going in the wrong direction. So this stuff is still iffy. This stuff is still iffy. Personally, I'm not going there. For a time I was thinking about getting back into a normal enough life there. I was seriously considering actually going to a movie theater and seeing a movie, but that has passed me by. I'm not going to be doing that for a while now. I'm back into just going where I have to go, grocery store, whatever. I'm going to wait and see what happens here before I start getting back into life again. Of course, I can afford to do that. I'm retired.
Right.
I don't have to go to work, so it's easy for me to do it. So, but my thing is just, everybody, please be careful.
Yes.
Stop listening to all the nonsense. This is real. Take it seriously. If we would have taken it seriously 6 months ago, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in now. That's my political statement for the day. Well, it shouldn't be a political statement, but it is.
Yeah. Well, dovetailing on that a second time, Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman are coming to KC in September. And I've seen Cummings twice, and I saw Cummings and Bachman when they toured several years ago, and was planning on going. And 2 things stopped me: the resurgence of the COVID. I really don't want to go into an auditorium in September. Yeah. And then the other one was ticket prices. And when I went on to get tickets, all the cheap seats were already sold, and some of the ones that were left were going for $140. And I'm just not quite there to see those 2 for $140. But even if they were cheaper, COVID's going to keep me out of it.
Just be careful, everybody. Be careful,
Yes.
please.
Yes.
We had two momentous events happened on August the 1st, 50 years ago. Two, not one, two. 50 years ago today was the concert for Bengladesh.
Oh, okay.
Organized by George Harrison to aid victims of famine and war in Bangladesh. It was a big all-star concert. We talked about this in some context. I remember the context we talked about it. Well, we talked about this a week or two ago, but that was 50 years ago today. The triple album release was from the concert. It was a #1 on the UK charts. It hit #2 in the US. It received the Grammy Award for Album of the Year. And that was, remember, they made a movie about it, and we were wondering about that last week. After we got finished taping last week, I went to look for whatever happened to the movie from that concert. And there was one, and you can buy it on Amazon for, I don't know, what was it, a DVD for, what was it, a couple of $100 or something. So
Yeah, the prices are all over the place.
Yeah. So apparently it's something that's out of print, and now some collectors have it and are selling it. But
yeah, the only way to get it reasonable is to pick up a used copy, but new, still sealed, it's well over $100, pushing $200.
Yeah. So
I
apparently
remember seeing that.
Yeah. So
I remember
apparently
seeing
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I remember seeing the movie at the Rogers Theater in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, way back in the day.
Yeah. I remember seeing the movie, but golly, I sure forgot about that until that came. Anyway, the second big momentous event that happened 50 years ago today on this side of the ocean. Well, actually, they both happened on this side of the ocean, because the concert for Bangladesh was at Madison Square Garden in New York. The other big momentous event Sunday that evening 50 years ago was the premiere of the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour on CBS.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting connection.
Well, Sonny and Cher, they had some hits back in the early 60s, right? And then in the mid 60s. And well, by 1971, their hit making factory had dried up. They weren't making any hits anymore. So Sonny and Cher turned their pop show into a little comedy song and dance show in nightclubs, doing a nightclub circuit as basically a comedy team. Well, CBS had a programming. Fred Silverman caught their show one night, said, "Hey, you guys would be good on TV." So he gave them a comedy hour. And I don't know how it ran a couple of years. It was successful. It was big. And but basically that TV show launched a big, huge movie career for Cher. She became a big, huge movie star coming out of that.
Like an Academy Award winner.
Oh yeah. She was one of the most bankable movie stars of the day back in the mid late 70s into the 80s, and of course Sonny became mayor of Palm Springs, California, and later became a United States senator. But anyway, so I thought it was funny. Both of those things happened on the same day. Monday, 59 years ago, as of Monday, was the day that Robert Allen Zimmerman legally became Bob Dylan. He signed a publishing contract with Whitmark Music and on the contract, he became Bob Dylan. That was 59 years ago, Monday. Tuesday is the 58th anniversary of the Beatles' last performance at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. During their set, a power cut silenced their instruments and plunged the cavern into temporary darkness. John Lennon and Paul McCartney performed an acoustic version of When I'm 64, a song they wouldn't release until 1967. The Beatles, their first performance at the Cavern, they played it for £5. I don't know what that translates to in English dollars. Do you know that off the top of your head, Bob?
That would have been $20, $30, maybe something like that.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Their first performance at the Cavern, they got paid $5, or I'm sorry, £5. But for this one, their last performance, they received £300. So
Their star had risen.
So their star was rising. Also Tuesday, 50 years ago on Tuesday, Paul McCartney announced that he was forming a new band called Wings with his wife Linda and former Moody Blues guitarist and singer Danny Lane. And we have a couple of birthdays of note coming up this week. Today, Sunday, is the 79th birthday of Jerry Garcia, who left us about 25 years ago. If he were still alive, today would be his 79th birthday. Garth Hudson is still with us of the band. Today is his 84th birthday, so happy birthday, Garth. 84. He's a little older than most of them. I know he was. If I remember correctly, he was actually a teacher at a community college or something when Robbie Robertson talked him into joining the Hawks. On Tuesday, he's still with us. He's 95 years old on Tuesday. Tony Bennett, who we talked about a couple of weeks ago.
And still recording, I think.
Still, yeah, right. Getting ready to record some more with Lady Gaga. And on Wednesday would be the 120th birthday of Louis Armstrong.
Satchmo.
Next Friday will be the 93rd birthday of Andy Warhol, who left us in 1987. Golly, that's that long ago. Yeah, Andy Warhol, who brought the rock world, the Velvet Underground, of course, and designed album covers for the Velvet Underground and famously for the Rolling Stones, a Sticky Finger album cover, which I think this is the 50th year of Sticky Fingers, right? Sometime, I don't know what date that was released, but it was in 1971 at some point. So anyway, those are anniversaries and birthdays. Anything else real quick before we wrap this up, Bob?
Yeah, real quickly. I want to dovetail on you mentioning the Cavern Club. Stevie Van Zandt, Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band fame and lots of other things, took his band and went to the Cavern Club a couple years ago and did a live concert outside in front of the Cavern Club and covered a lot of Beatles tunes as kind of a tribute to them.
Oh, yeah?
And, yeah, I've heard the album. It's not bad. It's kind of fun to listen to. So if anybody is curious, look up little Stevie Van Zandt. And
it's a Stevie Van Zandt solo album?
Yeah. It's with I can't remember the name of his band right now.
That's okay. We'll find it. Okay, I want to look that up. I want to hear it. That sounds interesting.
And I can't remember whether they were joined by Paul McCartney or not. They may have been, but I know that they performed outside the Cavern Club and covered a whole bunch of Beatles songs.
That would be cool. I want to go look that up. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. Please hit the subscribe button, like us, give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Please let us know if you'd like us to discuss anything in particular. Maybe if you want to join us by Zoom one time, just let us know. We'll take all comers. Join us on Tuesday. We're going to resume our Geezerology album discussion series. I'm sorry, we're going to do it on Wednesday. We're going to record it on Tuesday, but we'll post it on Wednesday. Bob and I are going to discuss the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the second album, but the first album of David Clayton Thomas, which was a big hit back in the late 60s. But Bob and I are going to revisit that album. That'll be posted on Wednesday. Join us next Sunday for another edition of the Geezerology Gazette. And hopefully Dee will be back with us next week, and we'll get back on track and do the promised discussion of Yes's Fragile album. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Take care, everybody.